our EDI webinar. If you do have any questions throughout, if you could just pop them in the chat box, and we'll keep an eye on that and we can answer any questions at the end. And yeah, it will be recorded. It should have just popped up then to let you know. So the speakers today, it will be myself, Nikki, and Jane and Fran. And we're going to be covering equality and diversity and inclusivity, and how we've kind of approached it as a team at ATtherapy and changes that we've made as a team. So EDI, or equality and diversity and inclusion, ensures fair treatment and opportunity for everybody. It aims to eradicate prejudice and discrimination on the basis of an individual or group. We do have a disclaimer in, so this is very much a journey for us. It's not the destination. So yeah, it's a journey, it's not perfect. It's just some things that we've been working towards and wanted to share.
So we just wanted to give you a few statistics really today, to help kind of let you know why we think EDI is so important. So equality, diversity and inclusivity within the ATtherapy team, and when we are working with any of the clients, the families, the teams and the other professionals we meet on a daily basis. So these facts have been gathered from the Healthcare Professions Council. So 96% of speech and language therapists are women, 44% have no religion, and 41% are Christian, and 90% are heterosexual. It was a little bit more difficult to find out statistics around kind of speech and language therapists, around their ethnicity and their disabilities. However, we were able to get some facts around speech therapy students. So 75% of speech therapy students are white and 79% have no known disability. In general, looking across the UK as a whole, 52.7% of people with disability were employed in 2021, whereas that was 81% for non-disabled people. So we really wanted to reflect on these facts as a team, to think about not only our own team members, who are predominantly female and white, but also thinking about the communities we support and whether we actually as a team are reflective of those communities. You know, we work all across England. So it's really important that we consider lots of factors that may not be at the forefront of our minds personally in terms of EDI.
Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit about neurodiversity and why it's important within the context of EDI. So I'm sure you all have heard of neurodiversity, and it's a term that's fallen into mainstream use probably in the past 5 years or so. Neurodivergence is a newer term that people are hearing about more and more frequently. The two sound quite similar, but there's quite an important difference between them. So neurodiversity, that simply refers to the natural diversity of human brains. So neuro referring to the brain, and diversity meaning difference. So a group of people can be neurodiverse, but an individual cannot, essentially. Neurodivergent, on the other hand, refers to an individual whose brain function is different to what is considered normal or neurotypical. So essentially their brains just work a bit differently, and that might include people with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, brain injury, lots of different types of brains. So you can see in the neurodiverse group on the left, there's lots of different neurodivergent brains there. We've got autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, bipolar disorder, Tourette's, sensory processing difficulties, OCD, lots of different types of difference there. Whereas the on the right, the diagram there, you can see that's not a neurodiverse group. It's a single group of a single, what we call a neurotype. So it's one type of brain, and it's a group of individuals with autism. So that's not a neurodiverse group there. Okay, so what you can see here is another neurodiverse group. This time it includes a neurotypical individual as well as the neurodivergent individuals. Okay. So the neurodiversity paradigm is something that emerged in 2014 from the work of an autistic scholar, Dr. Nick Walker. So she developed this on the back of a seminal piece of work by Judy Singer in the late 1990s. Judy is an Australian sociologist who is also, she's autistic, and she coined the term neurodiversity in her sociology doctorate, in which she argued that autism shouldn't be viewed as a disability, but instead it should be viewed as part of natural human diversity. So going back to Nick's work, Nick argues that there are three key principles within the neurodiversity paradigm. So firstly, neurodiversity is a natural and valuable form of human diversity, so like any natural biodiversity. Secondly, the idea that there is one normal or healthy brain type of brain or mind, or one right style of neurocognitive functioning, is a culturally constructed fiction, no more valid and no more conducive to a healthy society or to the overall well-being of humanity than the idea that there is one normal or right ethnicity, gender, or culture. So basically, we shouldn't view the neurotypical brain as the pinnacle to which we should all aspire, and we should be valuing all types of brain difference equally. And then thirdly, the social dynamics relating to neurodiversity are similar to the social dynamics that relate to other forms of human diversity. So for example, the diversity of ethnicity, gender, or culture. These dynamics include the dynamics of social power inequalities, and also the dynamics by which diversity, when embraced, acts as a source of creative potential. So essentially, people with different kinds of minds who think differently are often at risk of oppression in the same way as other minority communities. And we need to make sure that they have the same rights as everybody else. And quite often, neurodivergence brings with it a lot of positive traits like creativity, for example. Thanks, Nikki. Just briefly before moving on to implications for practice, I just wanted to mention something called the neurodiversity movement, which is gaining popularity now within the different neurodivergent communities, particularly the autistic community. So the neurodiversity movement is a social justice movement that seeks civil rights, equality, respect, and inclusion for neurodivergent people. It's not one single group or organization. So like most civil rights movements, it's made up of lots of different individuals. Some of them are organized into groups, some not. So these individuals and groups are quite diverse in their different goals, their viewpoints, political persuasions, their methods of activism, and also their interpretations of the neurodiversity paradigm can be quite different. But essentially, the overall vision is the same, which is to ensure that neurodivergent people have the same rights, equality, respect, and value as everybody else. Okay, so thinking specifically about now the neurodivergent clients that we work with, what does this reframing of how we think about different minds and how different minds work, what does that mean for our practice and our therapy? So I think firstly, I think it makes us question or think about the purpose of the therapy that we're delivering. So for example, to what extent are we trying to rehabilitate or to make someone, to convert someone to be more neurotypical, when actually that person might be neurodivergent? And we need to think how, and kind of question how ethical this is. So if we think about some traditional speech therapy practices like social skills interventions, are some of the elements of this, in fact, quite detrimental to neurodivergent people. So, for example, the use of eye contact. Traditionally in speech therapy, historically, that has formed part of social skills interventions. But if we're kind of encouraging someone to make eye contact in conversation when it's actually really difficult for them, are we encouraging masking behaviours, which then has a detrimental impact on their mental well-being in the long run? So working on eye contact and some other social skills interventions, it's something that we're reflecting on. We're trying to, some of them we are avoiding now, like the working on specifically on eye contact. And instead, we're trying to look at developing other skills to help navigate the neurotypical social world. So, for example, social inferencing skills, developing skills of situational understanding, social problem solving, and offering support for self-advocacy. So building and developing those self-advocacy skills is really important, because I think it's important that neurodivergent people feel validated, and that they feel that their voice can be heard, and also in terms of them being able to advocate for any support needs that they've identified and that we can help them to identify. Thank you.
So our team has been thinking a lot over the past 12 months around the interventions that we use, and also the interventions that we kind of support and champion, both as a team and also personally. So we have really had a focus on sort of joint planning with our families, clients and their teams around what interventions we are using, and actually which ones we feel we may be moving away from. So a large proportion of the team were actually, trained at university maybe 10, 15 years ago. So things have moved on rapidly since then in terms of neurodivergence, and, working on social areas that may be different, as Jane's already discussed. So some of the interventions we've previously used in old roles or 10, 15 years ago, we now personally and as a professional team feel they aren't really appropriate for us to be recommending and using within our practice. So we reflect constantly on new research and guidance around what is available to us, and also really championing research that's been written by members of the communities the research is around. So, for example, autistic researchers. A member of our team, Laura Cokes, who's one of our Talking Maths trainers, she's actually heavily involved in their equality, diversity and inclusivity project at the moment around creation of a equality and diversity talking mat, which is really exciting, and will be something that I think many members of our team will be using moving forwards with our clients. And really moving forwards, the main thing we all want to be considering at the forefront of any decision making is our client, and making sure that any recommendations we have and we make are person-centered and are really championing their skills and not focused necessarily on skills that they are still developing or actually aren't relevant to them and aren't going to be a functional goal for them to be working on. Another thing we've been really focused on implementing with our clients is a trauma response framework. So many of our clients will have experienced trauma in their childhood, as well as the teams that they are supported by. So this is a great framework to follow in making sure that all of the interventions we deliver are really centered around that client, so young person or adult, and are really responsive and reflective on the trauma they've had previously. So the first element of this framework is realise. We really need to realise the widespread impact of the trauma and also understand the potential implications that it's going to have on them moving forwards and their recovery or rehabilitation. The next step of the framework is recognise. We need to recognise any signs of that trauma and any symptoms, again, not only in the client themselves, but also in their team around them. We then need to respond to this, and we need to use all of the knowledge we have as a team, which we've recently been upskilled in by a great member of our team, Emma Bowers. and implementing all of that knowledge into our procedures and our practice. So the interventions we use, but also assessments, conversations with families, planning within a multidisciplinary team. And then the last area of the framework is resisting re-traumatization. So the last thing that we want as clinicians and as people who care about the clients we support is any re-traumatization of the client themselves or the adults and teams around them. So we need to make sure that any triggers we're aware of, and we make sure that any of our interventions, don't include those and are really sensitive to those in their nature.
We've also been really thinking and reflecting on how we word and use terminology in our reports, our programs, our discussions with clients, their families, carers, training, just throughout our practices, really. The autistic community in particular is really pushing for change in the terminology used. Historically, the terminology used has had quite negative connotations. So things like the use of difficulties, severity, disorder, special needs. And there is, as part of the neurodiversity movement, there is a move away from that kind of terminology and transition into more neuroaffirming vocabulary to celebrate diversity and the positives that it can bring. So this is something that we are reflecting on. We've made some changes to the wording that we've used in our report. So, for example, instead of using the term challenging behaviours, we might write communicating distress. Instead of difficulties, we might say differences. Differences in communication style, for example. There is also a move away from labelling low and high functioning autism, for example, and focusing on a more kind of linear and non-linear, vocabulary around that too. So it is something we are reflecting on and we are going to continue to reflect on.
So you can see from what Ellie's just said on the previous slides that we have been reflecting a lot as a team. I'm one of the clinical managers at ATtherapy, and at the start of 2022, we met as a management team and wrote a business plan. And one of the objectives on this was to focus on supporting the team to think about EDI. So we all have implicit biases, and they become a problem when we don't actively work to figure out what they are and how to mitigate them. So I love this image as it helped us to start to move from awareness really to action. We started to introduce EDI content into our group supervisions at all levels of the team. So with our assistants, band 5s, band 6 and 7s, so that we could meet as a team, we could learn from each other with an open mind, and sometimes leaning into discomfort sometimes to look at what we're doing well and what we could, what we're not doing well and what we could do better. So part of this involved introduction of the Health Inequalities Self-audit tool, which was provided by the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists. So as speech and language therapists, we must be able to provide personalised and equitable care to all of our clients who require it. And that involves understanding each individual's preferred language, their culture, their religion, their family setup, attitude towards their health status, beliefs on approaches to play, for example. And that's really, really imperative that we look at that at initial assessment and throughout intervention. We also have a dysphagia trained team at ATtherapy, and our therapists have been looking at things like understanding the implications of food modification and presentation for those with dysphagia and the different types of food that different cultures may eat. When working with our diverse caseloads, we therefore felt that it's really essential that we move to a more flexible approach, applying the research we have where it exists. And this tool was really valuable in helping us to evaluate whether we understand the communities that we're working with. And it provided a space to kind of note reflections and actions for next steps. So here are kind of some of the next steps that we did over the course of the year. So we have a fantastic assistant team at ATtherapy who have worked really hard this year to ensure both the electronic and paper-based resources we use are diverse. So we've used some resources that are pre-made by some of the suppliers, such as the Supercore Diversity Grid Set at the top left and the TD Diverse Skin Tone Symbols. But we have also adapted a lot and made new resources where required. We also use G Suite as a company, and Jen, who is one of our Band 5 therapists, created a religious holidays calendar. And this has been so helpful as it's meant that all members of the team could view this on their Google calendars. It's helped us to consider religious holidays when booking appointments, and also supported us to find content for session planning, which you can see at the bottom of this page. So these are all resources from Boardmaker Student Centre that have been adapted on topics like Ramadan, Diwali and Chinese New Year. Here is Caitlin, who is one of our therapists. This is just a short video of her talking about how she's considered EDI within her resources that she takes out and uses with clients. This is just a short video, and I'm going to put the longer video on our YouTube channel. But this is just one of the books that she purchased called Thank You, Amu.
We've got Thank You, Amu. That's by Oj Mora, and this is about a lovely lady called Amu, which actually means the Igbo term for queen. It says at the front, and it's got lovely illustrations. This one, it's all collaged together and really bright and colourful, so really great for lots of my clients that have visual impairment, or just need a bit of extra, little bit extra something to focus on things. And I thought this one was really nice because it had quite a lot of nice repetitive lines in it, and you can use it to talk about food, community, people. There's lots of people that come and try Amu's stew, and it has some nice words in there that you could maybe use for emerging literacy users as well. So that's that one. The next we've got,
as I say, there's going to be a longer version of that on our YouTube channel, and as a team over 2023 we're planning to make an EDI resource booklet that we're hoping to make available on our website. We've made further resource adaptations. So this is just an example of an AAC vocab questionnaire that we often take out at initial assessment when someone might be requiring a new system. And we just made subtle tweaks to this. So for example, asking what pronouns do you use? How would you like to be identified in reports? What symbol colour would you like? So it's just subtle changes, and again we've used visual support and symbols from Boardmaker as being a great resource to share with the clients that we're working with. And we've also started to ensure that we're really advertising that we're a neurodiverse team, that we support neurodiversity, and we encourage people to apply within our job descriptions. And I just had to put this in there that when you come and work with us, we have Bella, who's one of our therapy dog. And I feel that she's been great for the whole team to have just such a calming effect. So here we are having Monday morning cuddles.
As Fran touched on, we are a neurodiverse team. So I myself am autistic. I was diagnosed about 18 months ago, but I've known for a lot longer. Since I was 16. I just felt I didn't need the label, but I felt it was really important for me to share my experiences with our team, and share the challenges that I faced personally being an autistic individual, as I think that can have a huge impact on kind of empathy and understanding and just knowledge around autism. So I presented at our last CPD day, and that's something that we're hoping to continue and invite other neurodivergent individuals to come and present to our team. So as a team, we can develop our knowledge and understanding of various different neurodiversities. So it is something that we're hoping to carry forwards and do some more of. I am also hoping to deliver the the presentation that I delivered to our team as a webinar in 23 as well. We also have a lot of support in place for the team. So we do consider reasonable adjustments for things like flexible working patterns, the choice of attending meetings either face-to-face or via Zoom, which I know I find really useful in terms of processing. We have support for family life, so we have some members of the team who work term time only, so that they can spend time with their family and children during the busy holidays. The clinical management team also send out a weekly update, which you can see on the right hand side, which has just been a really lovely way of the team all checking in with each other, seeing different projects that different members of the team are up to. There's also some podcast recommendations on, not always work relevant, but there are some work relevant podcasts that people recommend on there too. So one of those was championing neurodiversity at the Lego Foundation. And then, yeah, currently the majority of our team are female. So the management team have been working really hard to review our policies that we have in place and introduce some female-friendly policies. So quite recently, we have had a menopause policy introduced. Just moving on from that really, and thinking about promoting and celebrating neurodiversity within the workplace. We want the workplace, the office, to be a safe space for everyone. So staff are encouraged, if they want, to use fidget toys. I have one right here as I speak, just to help if you need that sensory input, you need to support your processing and regulation. So it is something that we promote and encourage, and you regularly see members of staff with various different fidgets during staff meetings, etc. So we want it very much to become the norm in the workplace. We do have a very relaxed office. It's such a friendly team and a good space. So staff are encouraged to use blankets if they want, sometimes kick their shoes off when writing reports. And we do have a couple of smaller rooms in our office, and one of those rooms we are hoping long term to turn into a relaxation room for staff when they are on their break.
So recently, we've also joined a platform called Spectrum Life. This is a great online platform which every single member of our team has access to, as well as their immediate families. And it basically encompasses a really wide range of mental health supports, general wellbeing supports and strategies, as well as more specific areas like life coaching, financial planning. And it just means that the team are able to access some external support if they are perhaps going through an issue that they don't really want to chat about with members of our team, and they want to talk about it with somebody who has absolutely sort of no personal relationship to them or any professional involvement either. So within the platform, they have access to webinars, to podcasts, a range of courses they can work through on sort of stress management, also some great kind of exercise classes that they can join in with, things like yoga to help with mindfulness. As well as access to an employee assistance program, which provides our team members with access to one-to-one counselling or therapeutic support should they need it. So that could be either in face-to-face sessions or online using telehealth methods if that's their preferred access method. So we really are just trying to support all of the members of our team in any way we can to ensure that not only within the working day, but outside of that, they feel supported and they feel that they're able to, make it through the day and feel like they've achieved something. And at the end of it, aren't burnt out, don't feel like they have things to talk about, but nobody to talk about them to. So it's been a real great addition, and hopefully we'll continue to access that for as long as our employees feel it's beneficial. We've also put a real priority this year on our training that we deliver as a team. So we have a training arm of the company called ATtraining. Obviously, you're at one of the webinars today, but we also deliver a range of training courses to individuals and also to larger teams, so maybe full school teams. And in the past, we have delivered training that has generally been written by the therapy team, often without any consultation with the community we're writing the training for or about. So we've really flipped that on its head, and we're trying to ensure that we are always seeking advice and comments from the communities that we're designing and delivering training for. So thinking about our clients themselves, the families and teams around them, online populations, we're reading forums or particularly public figures from said communities. We're also consulting other professionals that we work alongside. So, we all have access to a great network of professionals working in our field who will have their own great experience and opinions. So we're taking all of that into consideration along with the current research guidance out there to ensure that all of our training feels representative of the populations it's written for. So I love this image. It's nothing about us without us. So the idea is that we are really striving to include the people we are writing about as part of our team and part of that designing team for our training.
Another branch at ATtherapy is ATMentors, which for those who don't know is a team of 5 adults with a brain injury who all use alternative and augmentative communication. And their role is to inspire others and show them what's possible. And it's been really invaluable to have them as part of a team feeding into also the management team to give us invaluable insights into what it's like to use a communication impairment, what it's like to use a communication aid, and also different aspects of disability. So here is Kerry Higginbottom, who's one of the ATmentor managers, and she is the ATmentor manager, and she will give you an overview of the service, what they've done to date regarding EDI, and some future directions. Again, there is a longer version of this video that's going to be posted on the YouTube channel following today.
We as a team are looking at diversity and equality in our workshops. We have regular workshops which allow us to see how everyone is doing. We always have a well-being section and some training, and at the moment the focus is on equality and diversity. In the next workshop, we'll be having a young lady who is 19 and autistic, and she's going to talk about her journey, her experiences so far at both school, college, and now university, in order to raise awareness with our mentors of neurodiversity. We will be having more speakers like this in the future, and looking at ways to promote equality and diversity within the service.
Okay, so in terms of next steps for the team, we've got a really exciting 2023 ahead, and we've already got lots of thoughts about what is on our priority list. So expanding the mentor team is kind of one of the biggest priorities on that list. We really want to make sure that we're recruiting from a range of the communities we work with. So young people who may be autistic young people, or those who've had brain injuries, as well as the mentor team we already have.
We also want to continue to be as supportive as possible and offer reasonable adjustments right from recruitment onwards. When we interview, we ask people if there's any reasonable adjustments they require, and constantly check in with our team members to check whether there's anything additional we can do as a management team.
Muted then. As part of our CPD days, we do want to continue to include speakers who have personal experience. So that's during our staff team days and also the mentor meetings as well.
In terms of resources, we're going to continue to develop innovative, up-to-date resources that reflect the current thinking within all our diverse communities. We want to ensure that all the resources respect and value those diverse communities, and we're going to achieve that through ongoing consultation and engagement with those communities. You know, it's so important that the communities are directly involved in helping us to shape and develop our service as we move forwards.
In terms of a safe space in our office, we'll continue to add some, extra fidget toys in, and to create that really nice relaxation space where people can go to regulate. And also just ensuring that as we continue to expand the team and recruit new team members, we're really kind of letting them know that this is a relaxed office. It's a really safe team to share things with, and by continuing to share our own diagnoses, our own experiences and journeys, we hope that the rest of the team will feel empowered to, share theirs should they want to.
We want to focus on this within 2023 as a management team in terms of expanding the range of policies. So we've already started looking at different neurodivergent policies. There's one on screen entitled Thinking Differently at Work. So we really want to create those policies with the neurodivergent community where possible as well, to make sure that we get it right. So yeah, co-creation of policies will be a big focus in 2023.
Also ongoing sharing of EDI content. So I think Fran mentioned earlier, we're hoping to put together a resource or a booklet with more information about EDI content, and hopefully that will go on our website and help us as a staff team, but also anyone else can access that too.
We're going to create our own ATtherapy guide to using neuroaffirming vocabulary for the team, just to ensure that the language we use in reports is consistent, and that it does clearly demonstrate that value and respect for neurodivergent minds. So going back to what Ellie was describing earlier, just ensuring that differences are described in positive terms, really. But at the same time, identifying any necessary support needs, but reframing of it much more positively.
So we've reached the end of the content of the webinar. There aren't any questions in the chat. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to pop those in now. As you can see, it is very much a journey. We aren't at the destination yet. We just thought it'd be really nice to share some of the things that we have been doing, some of the resources that we have been making with everyone. A feedback form should have popped up on your screen now as well. If it'd be really useful if you could fill that in, just because that helps us inform future webinars. I don't think we have any scheduled in yet for the new year, do we? So that will be coming soon. Yeah, we have the ATtherapy YouTube channel, so some videos from today will be uploaded onto that channel. There are also other videos on there, so please do check it out. It is got some useful content on there. We do also have Instagram pages, so ATtherapy is our main page. And some of our therapists also have an Instagram page that we try and keep up to date with anything that we're doing and any ideas, just that sharing of information. And our Facebook page as well. So alongside our webinars, we do also have training dates on offer. So you can see that those on the screen at the moment. So we've got Makoton training coming up, Play Included training, AAC building blocks, and Talking Maths training that we do offer. And if you are interested in any of these, you can find them all on our Eventbrite page and sign up to those training sessions via that page. Oh, we do have the next one booked in. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Right, Ellie. Yeah, we've got the My Ability webinar coming up in January. We don't have a date yet, so keep an eye on your inboxes, and we will be sending that out in the next week or two.
Well, I don't think there's any questions. Nothing's coming up. So yeah, just a big thank you to everyone for joining us, and I hope it was useful. If